And we're recording. And for today's guest, I'm going to try to do my best Bela Lugosi impression. I have with me Tenebrae De Profundis, right?
Uh, yes, it's all in the hands.
Exactly,
You see,
right?
you got to be double jointed
Double
and
jointed. What do you mean double jointed? What does that mean?
Hungarian.
Oh, okay. Right. So we already started. We might have offended Hungarian people. We're off to a good start.
Yay! No, this is all for Bella and Martin Landau, who I met in person. He portrayed Bella Lugosi.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah,
In the with
yeah,
Johnny Depp and yeah, come on.
such a nice guy. Oh my god.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I was probably like my best moment meeting like a star. Was just he was so fantastic. He always puts a smile on my face too, because like I have a photo with him
Yeah.
and one of my friends, and he's holding both of our hands and he's smiling the biggest smile, and I'm like, this is fantastic.
Did you put it up on your Insta?
Actually, I it might be on my other Instagram. That's Tenebrae underscore official.
Okay.
That's my main page, but then I have like the D&D page, which is we're going to talk about.
The black metal dungeon master.
Yes.
Yes, and is Juliet Martin's daughter? Juliet Landau?
Yeah.
Lucilla. Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure about that. Okay,
Actually, I
you made
think
me think of that. I was like, the last name. Wait a second here.
yeah, from Buffy, for
Mm-hmm.
example. But
Yeah,
oh yeah,
interesting.
they were both in the same movie with Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah, she's the one producing who wants to be an
Yeah,
actress producing in yeah, and
but
Ed Wood was the name of the movie, right?
that's right. I just saw it like 2 months ago. Resaw it, I should
That was
say.
such a good movie, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And okay, let's talk about you though. See if I can have like
Sure.
the Landaus on my show another time. Uh, right?
Exactly.
um, okay, so I mean, I haven't, look, full transparency, I haven't read your book, but I know you did a book compatible with Lamentations of Famed Princess slash
Yes.
OSR slash sort of kind of BX D&D. You have like a very nice flair for the visuals on your Instagram, and I like geek stuff, and so I was kind of like I've enjoyed following your stuff, and I have multiple accounts. So I don't know if like you might be like you never liked my stuff. I did on other accounts,
All
uh,
right, on. Thank you.
which
Appreciate it.
sounds sketchy, but it's not. Uh, so tell me about your book, like a role playing book, tabletop role playing.
Uh, yeah,
Um,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's a RPG supplement. So basically, it's a book. Um, Theoretically, it's something that you would find, for example, because it's written kind of like,
Oh, like the Vampire the Masquerade books, like Book of Nod back in the day and all
yeah,
that.
yeah, but obviously it's got rules in there too,
Yes.
so it can't
Right.
be completely. But I tried to make it seem like the whole book is written by one of the Black Wizards, who may or may not be alive. But the whole premise of it is like it's reworked spells from D&D, and that is kind of turned up a notch in the style of black metal.
Hmm.
So basically, you can have a spellcaster cast a spell, like going, "Oh, I'm casting magic missile," but in traditional D&D, you're like, you cast the spell, and then it gets erased from your mind, and you're like, "Oh, I can't cast a spell anymore."
The Vancian system, yeah.
Right?
Cian,
And
Cian, Vancian, Vancian, yeah.
Vancian, that's what I thought of it,
Eh,
but I always had a problem with it, and that's actually one of my favorite classes, besides Barbarian.
of course.
But it's just like it irked me that the spell would disappear. Like other systems, it'd be like hero percentile, but with this, I thought, oh, you know what? I'm gonna work with the Lamentations of Flame Princess concept of like being able to cast a spell whenever you want, but there are perils with it. So obviously, every time you cast a spell, if it's close to your level, the more likely you won't have to like roll to see if you miscast, because you have to roll.
Mhm.
Um, Certain things, certain environments, or like if you happen to be on a ship and it's just throwing you left to right, yes, you're going to have to to roll to see if you can cast a spell, even though you can normally cast it. But each spell also has its own miscast table, and you can roll to see like, and it's all like warped into kind of like this whole black metal mentality. Everything's tongue in cheek. It's really grimdark, but you know. But
well, you didn't make it compatible with Lamentations of the Flame Princess, so you know
right.
I think it's very suiting. Which, in fact, they did a whole book about Magic Missile being reworked.
You know
And
what's funny is like I actually talked to what's his name, James, about it. I'm
Bradley,
like,
yeah, who's
yeah,
been in the show as well in previous episode.
yeah. And I was asking him like, hey, are you gonna do a spell book on it? And he was like, you know, it's gonna take a lot, and he didn't feel like he wanted to do that. And I'm like, well, I like the idea, so I'm just gonna do it. This was before COVID.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I came up with the whole concept and I started writing it and stuff like that. And it took a couple of years because not only did I wrote it, but I illustrated it and I had to design the book too. So I did have some friends who were like doing a little bit editing because that's what they do, but it was kind of like a one-person job type of thing. And when that Magic Missile book came out, my heart sank. I was like, oh, he's doing the thing. When I read it, I was like, actually, I bought it too. But I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's totally different, and
Yeah.
I'm for it anyway. So, whatever.
Yeah, I know. I you know the thing is, it's kind of like that because I'm not gonna mention anyone or anything like that, but there's something I've been working on, and my fault. It's like I'm a huge procrastinator. It's taken many years, and the whole thematic of and I brainstormed so much with this person, just conversation and stuff like that, and you know, we discuss things like anti-heroes, we discuss things like um, just stuff like that, playing evil characters, or you know,
Right.
and kind of like the name of one of my projects. And that person ended up kind of doing something that I couldn't say that they copied at all, like, but you can kind of see like where the inspiration came from, even the title that they chose for a product. And I was like, yeah, I gotta stop talking about especially because I'm such a procrastinator. I gotta shut the fuck up and just stop talking about my stuff to other people, and just like, when it's out, it's out, you know. Like, and I've
Yeah.
already released some stuff online about it and all that years ago, so you know. But which is my fault, really, in a way. But that's something that it made me kind of go, yeah, I gotta shut the fuck up until it's out. Yeah.
Oh, I totally know the feeling.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times where I actually wanted to tell people, and I'm like, why don't you get this done, or at least get 75% of it done before you start like throwing it out there. I mean,
Yeah.
I had another artist who I hired to do a few of the panels, which was cool. You know, like he's just all he does is just black metal illustration.
Yeah.
For people's, you know, albums. So I was like, oh,
I did the same. I went for. He's a Spaniard. I'm half Spaniard. I get to say the word Spaniard. Cesar Valladares, who used to be Cesar Cold, Caesar, I guess, in English. And he did. Well, he was part of a group, Decapitated Christ, and he did illustrations for like some sort of metal bands. I don't know which metals. I said the same thing to Raji. I was like, I don't know which metals. Some metals. Uh, so, but yeah, I did the exact same thing as you. I actually went for someone who did like albums for metal bands. So that's
yeah,
funny. Yeah,
it had the same feel. So you know, it's like if you vibe with it, then why the hell not?
right. So okay, so it broke your black goth heart for a moment, and then you were like, okay, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I had to really think about it. I'm like, you know what? Even if someone did, it's like they didn't actually steal the idea from me, and like, everything's in the zeitgeist anyways. So
That's the thing. Like, even there's a product. So, well, geez, I don't want to start talking about my shit,
that's okay.
but especially if it's not out. But I guess I can say what happened was the artist. And like, look, to give you an idea how bad a procrastinator I am, the art, I started ordering the art in 2014.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I am bad at this. So I was kind of like, in overtime, I would like order here and there, you know, like, oh, here, like, I'll send you some money, do this drawing now. And I was basically like vampires with like Geiger inspiration.
Oh.
And then a few years ago, there's an old school essentials book that came out. Va- uh, Blood Halls, House of the Blood King, something like that. I'm looking at it over there. It's just far away that I can't see the
Oh
title.
yeah.
And it's kind of like it was kind of like vampires with Geiger armor and furniture and stuff like. And I was like,
Wow.
now people are gonna think that I ripped it off. And
Yeah.
again, yeah, you gotta be quick with these things. Like when
Yeah.
the thing happened, and I started seeing other stuff in the zeitgeist. That's like that's kind of what I was going for 10 years ago, and I was just like, you know,
Yeah. Don't procrastinate.
no,
Yeah. This is probably the first time I actually got myself into gear to do this, and it still took a while.
yeah,
I mean, this is like the very first book I've ever, I've illustrated, let alone like wrote. So it was just kind of almost overbearing because I didn't know if I could do this. And there are times I'm just like, what am I doing this for? But I remember like when I was young, I used to make my own little like dragon magazines, and I would draw all the stuff. I was like 13 years old, drawing on graph paper and like making it look like it's a professional magazine. It wasn't. It was
yeah,
really bad. But I thought about it. I'm like, just basically doing it for myself.
yeah,
And if I print it out and no one buys it, that's fine. I have a copy, and that's all that matters.
yeah. It's a weird thing where I was kind of the same when I was younger. I could really concentrate for a long time. It was just for me stuff I would do or write or whatever, and it was really bad. Yeah, but I was doing it, and I had the concentration for it. And now it's like I don't know if it's the thing about adulthood and being like caught in the grind, and then kind of when you have free time and like with the internet now you can stream, and it's kind of like very difficult to just sit your ass
Oh,
down and get to it, And then I get a feeling we might have like some of the same like um, challenges in concentration, or whatever, from our short conversation already. But
yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of it kind of becomes this, and I think you might be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes with being a Virgo too. So.
Okay. Well, I'm a Taurus, so
Oh, Earth signs. There we go.
yeah. Yeah, it's a thing, right? And at some point, you know what? As I'm talking to you, like I promise this to myself, I'm gonna sit my ass down and try to finish it before the end of the year. The stupidest thing is I write super fast when I actually do it. I just can never sit down and do it. But if I do sit down, I can like write a short story in like within an hour.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but the problem for me is actually doing it, and
Mm.
I have a story written from like a what like years ago that I never went back just to edit it.
Yeah. It just
Just
it's
left it
hidden.
there.
It's all hidden away. It belongs
It's
in a museum.
yeah, right. No, but so okay, where did I see you? No, you might like be offended. Not all gods are the same person, Bruno. Did I see you in a documentary about War of Darkness, or was that someone else?
Oh, fuck.
Oh shit! Did I?
No, that was me.
Okay. No,
No.
I know from the fuck I could tell,
Oh,
but I was like,
yeah.
did I scratch something that I
Wait,
should have
wait,
left buried?
wait. No. So for which one? For the World of Darkness video,
I don't know,
or
man. I no. Wait, it was a documentary. It was pretending that. I mean,
yeah,
look, a lot of
it
credit
was
is
La
due to work.
Sombra, so I was all, it was still fun.
What happened? What do you say? Fuck. What happened there?
No, it was okay.
Yes. Tell me. Tell
uh,
me
uh,
everything.
so they're like they came to my house to film, and they're like, okay,
Okay, at
so what we're
first I
gonna
was
do
like,
is
is this a home invasion story?
yeah. They're like, we're gonna film you while you're putting your makeup on. I'm like, okay, and then we're gonna film you driving in your car,
Okay.
and I'm like, sure, why not? I'm
No,
all
but
for
it
it.
does. Listen, it does help, kind of like get a feeling you're watching someone in their daily life, right? Just you
Yeah,
telling me this, I don't remember the scenes, but you telling me this, I'm like, yeah, I can get a feel of the person, like, I guess.
yeah, and I was heading out to the LARP because we were supposed to go to LARP. I was supposed to go to the vampire LARP that night
Mm-hmm.
for the Sabbat, and so they got me in my Lost Boys costume because I was wearing my Marcos jacket.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm all hooked up with the mic, and everybody's all
Yeah.
trying to LARP, and they're like, so are those the camera crew? I'm like, yeah, that's camera crew. I'm not supposed to say anything, so I'm trying to be quiet about that. And some people were like, I don't like documentaries. I'm like, oh, sorry,
You brought it
but
to the LARP. Wait, are you telling me that you brought a bunch of cameras to a place where there might be people who are a bit socially different and anxious and perhaps less
oh yeah, it was a big
comfortable with
party.
that? Perhaps
Yeah, that was interesting.
that might have been
Um,
you.
it
So that's
was
what you said.
that it was that dude. No, it was fun for the most part. I had really bad hair day though. I was just like, ah. I saw the video, and I still see people come up, or they're like, Tenebrae, were you in that video? I just saw it on YouTube. I'm like, yeah, that was me.
Yeah, it was you.
Yeah, it's weird because I expect that, but I saw a video on YouTube, and it had a picture of me, but I'm in the Beckett diary because I had a photographer come by and he took photos, and I was Beckett in the Beckett's diary. And so if you can find that book,
Eesh. I mean,
I'm like,
listen, no offense. I think you have a cool look, but I do not see you as Beckett, though.
I'm not Beckett. Oh my God,
No,
no.
Beckett kind of has to look like a sort of long hair Indiana Jones in my head.
Yeah, I was just like, I
I
don't
don't mean
think
Harrison Ford specifically, no, but I mean, like,
yeah. As a matter of fact, the funny thing is, like, they redid that book for the latest version of Vampire,
mhm.
and they got Matt Mercer to do that role as Beckett, and I'm like, that still doesn't work. I don't think it works
It
on
really
me.
okay. It really does. Okay, I'm gonna offend some people here. It really doesn't work on paper if you look at who the character is supposed to be, but it
Yeah.
totally works for who the current um, clients of Vampire Masquerade are. Because people buying Vampire Masquerade Fifth Edition are not. Yeah, look. If anyone wants to comment, I've been playing since first edition. I still play fifth edition, Bruno. You're full of shit. Fine, go ahead, write that. Overall, the current players are not the old players. The old players are people who wanted dark stories, were not easily offended by exploring dark themes.
Oh yeah.
And this is not an anti-woke tirade, by the way. I just want to
No, no,
clarify
no.
this right away. This is not what it is. The problem is that people now I might offend some people, have become so fragile they can't
Mm.
differentiate fiction and reality. And people in especially in the tabletop role playing industry, something I often compare to is like they basically get offended and call someone like awful shit for doing something you could see in a Tarantino movie. So,
Mm.
which is mainstream, right?
Right.
We're not even talking like, oh, this is like some like I spit on your grave and Deliverance, and like no, they're Tarantino. Well, I mean, Tarantino did stuff kind of like Deliverance actually, but but uh, but my point is kind of like,
Good.
um, they looked at stuff in the fiction, and even I sometimes find that some stuff goes too far for my personal comfort, but I can understand they're just trying to explore dark themes. It's not like a seal of approval of this behavior, and
Right.
they went so and it's just like, and look, I've larped when I was younger and all that, and you might still be larping, I don't know, like I don't have the time for it anymore, but my point is fifth edition did a bad job at separating the tabletop with the cool black and white artwork and the immersive like
Mm.
in your mind's eye theater, and the LARP. The fifth edition was a
Right.
LARP product from the start, which to me it was just like kind of diluted to me. The sorry, I've been on a rant and
Oh no, absolutely. Continue if you'd like to.
no, but I don't. The
But
thing is, I'm being careful because I don't want to. But like, you know how it is, where if I give my opinion and if you don't necessarily, let's say there's a point you don't agree with me or whatever, if you don't like take the time to, I challenge you on this. Like, people might bunch you up with that opinion. You know what I mean? You know
yeah.
how it is. So I'm being
Oh yeah,
careful.
yeah.
But
Here's the thing: is
yeah,
I personally think that, like, if whether it's D&D or Vampire, you like
yeah. So
first
Sorry.
edition
So Matt
or fifth.
Mercer, for the people who are currently playing Vampire Masquerade, they're gonna be. I
Yeah,
saw the comments. They're like, "Oh, this is so perfect," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I see." Like,
yeah. But they're allowed to like whatever they like, right?
yes.
That's yeah.
And nothing against
So
Matt Mercer, by the way. No, nothing against him.
no,
Like this. Yeah.
I ran in. We ran in the same circles because our friends kind of go back and forth. So I've been. I don't want to say in his presence because it just makes it sound weird,
Did I get you in
but
trouble with anyone just with my little rant here? Hope not.
I don't care.
Just say, Bruno, I disapprove. Just say that. You're covered. Blanket statement.
You're all cool. It's all cool.
Go ahead,
No,
sorry.
I mean, it's not. I'm nothing against Matt Mercer either. It's just that we just kind of run in the same circles. But I just personally don't like fifth edition. I've tried all the editions of D&D. Uh, I have to say I hated fourth as well.
Oh no, fourth is the one you bring behind the shed and you just like look.
Yeah,
Just
I
get
only
it.
like one thing from fourth edition, which is like the concept of minions. I'm like, oh, that's actually a cool idea. Or like if you have
Except I don't like
a
it.
horde.
I don't like it. If you're gonna face
Yeah,
20 people, there's like to me, I prefer in D and D is kind of like, look, you're gonna. I know there's hit dice, in the end there's hit dice, but if you're low
right.
level, it shouldn't matter whether you're facing 2 people or 20, and it shouldn't
Yeah.
have to be thematic. Now, I respect your opinion. We all have different opinions. This
Oh
is
yeah,
for me, like,
absolutely.
you know, uh, and I interrupted you again. Sorry, I'm just tired.
That's okay. No, I think the thing about minions, for example, I think it's only applicable, I would think, for higher levels. So you got like a 10th level fighter, and you're not going to go, oh, well, how many hit points? Let me just go ahead and mark this off this goblin. You're like, oh, no, the goblin's dead, right? But
Okay,
they
as a
still,
speed, as a time saving
right.
method.
But they could still do damage. If you got
Mhm.
enough goblins in there, they could still kill that 10th level fighter.
Okay. Okay, kind of like becomes like a single monster or something like that.
Right, basically.
Okay.
It's just like, with multiple attacks, and you can just slowly whittle down the horde.
Listen, to me, fifth edition is kind of like so. Listen, I've played Castles and Crusades for a long time,
Oh, good.
and when fifth edition came out, I was like, "This is Castles and Crusades on easy mode," and because they took the ability scores or the saving throws, and it was basically like Castles and Crusades on easy mode. And Castles
Right.
and Crusades to me is the perfect. For me, is my perfect version of the game. It's the perfect jam between like modern advancement of like this is one single rule, roll high with a d20. It's not like scattered. It's not like if you're trying to hide, it's this dice. If you're trying to do this, it's this other dice. Like it's streamlined
Yeah.
in that way. And the DM can kind of like make judgment calls, which is very old school, but with this like one template of a rule. Like
Right.
and I love that the ability scores or saving throws. There's a lot of stuff I love. And then when fifth edition came out, it's like okay, this was supposed to be a return to form of like let's take modern advancements, but respect the past. And then at some point, they decided that the past needed to die. A Kylo Ren style. And
Yeah, drink that coffee.
mm,
So much about fifth edition I do not like it, and it is on easy mode. I mean, I noticed like because I normally
everything, the themes, the
everything.
rules, the style, the artistic style is easy.
Yeah,
But
it's
okay, no disrespect to the artists.
oh
I
no,
guess they will take offense anyway, but yeah.
no, it's just I mean, if people want to play that, that's fine. I just find that if you wanted to play a more gritty, grimdark game, a game that has value, but not I can't really say that.
I agree.
There's stakes at hand.
No, listen. Let's go to the chase. Okay, you have people on Twitter complaining that characters should not die unless the players give permission. Fuck off with that. Fuck off all the way to fuck off town. It's
No.
this is like the and to me it's like look, the Castles and Crusades game I ran for many years, and this is gonna. I feel like it. When I start talking, I guess this is the centrist in me, where like get me talking long enough, I'm gonna annoy everyone in the cultural spectrum. So I'm gonna say this, and this is not me bragging. This is not me defending myself. This is not me anything. This is just a fact. Okay. In my Castles and Crusades game that I ran for years and years and years, I was the only person who checked the marks of white, male, not trans, straight. I was the only one who checked all those marks, and I played it super old school.
Mm-hmm.
I never worried about like offending anyone in the game. I never worried, and now it's not like some conservative, right? But I never like it was just like old school hardcore D&D style. Um, I don't know. I'm sorry, the droll were evil. I'm sorry. You know, like that they were like I don't know, like all the tropes, all the tropes. It was never an issue because I played with adults. I played with normal people. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I didn't play with people who lived in Twitter, like on Twitter.
Uh,
So it's just like when you see fifth edition now, they remove the word slavery from the books.
yeah. They removed a
And
lot of things,
but
apparently.
it's worse. The thing is, you read that. Okay, so the bad guys now have servants. So the thing is that you're actually making the bad guys less awful.
It's a character study now. They're like, how would they change the bad guy to turn into a good guy? Like that. It's a happy ending at the end of the book. When when we grew up, for example, we watched or read books and watched films, and like sometimes the heroes don't survive,
Yeah,
and
like
that makes it exciting.
exactly. So
Yeah.
like I feel like I'm so tired. I'm not making my points very clear. And someone's like, "Okay, why did you mention like you were the only one in your group?" And what I mean to say is that I never had to worry. Like I never had to worry about like elves are more dexterous than humans. It wasn't seen like as some like Third Reich eugenics type of thinking that
No.
elves are more dexterous than humans. You know what I mean? Like it's just. Did I trigger some like YouTube algorithm just saying these words? I don't know. It's just so fifth edition is kind of like the safe game, the easy game. Like we're not gonna touch any
And
themes. We're not gonna like put your characters in too much danger. It's very hard for you to die in this game.
right. You know what? I I discuss this with my friends, and we basically say that fifth edition is training wheels for D&D. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, really don't know how to play," and they're like, "Oh, I play fifth edition. All right, so I get the concept." I'm like, "All right, can I join your game?" I'm like, "Cool. We're not playing fifth edition." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh no, we're going back to first."
How does that go when they die?
Uh, I actually had two characters die, but it one, one person actually tried to seduce a mimic. I don't ask me why, but she tried anyways, and I'll give her points for that. The other one,
I
how
can
did
say I
he
can say what
die?
I'm thinking now.
Yeah, it's sometimes you gotta have a little hentai in your game, I suppose.
I'm just wondering. No, I'm gonna stop it. Go ahead, please.
I think the other character is died because of stupidity, and I think that's the way it should happen. If you do
Yes.
this dumb thing and get your character killed, I mean that happens. Not go, oh well, you got 3 death saves. You're probably gonna pass it anyway. So let me reward you for being stupid.
Yeah. I mean, in real life, people panic all the time when in situations of stress, right? And it doesn't mean they're dumb. It's just like the reality of life. So it's just one of those things where like sometimes you see players who do something and then like, oh, why did I do that? But they did it, like
Yeah.
and it's kind of like I guess there's players who are really badly suited for old school games, and they're the ones who, because they know the danger, they start overthinking everything, and the game grinds to a halt every time it's their turn. That can happen,
Yeah. Right.
which is why you buy like a little sound timer.
I have one of those downstairs, so yes, I totally understand.
Yeah. Um. So, why Lamentations of the Flame? I mean, I think I have the answer by now, but like, why would Lamentations of the Flame? Why did you make it compatible with Lamentations of the Flame Princess specifically?
Specifically, I mean, I think that's the system that I was using. I found the actual, I guess, campaign world and I would say just the whole aesthetics of Limitations of Flame Princess to be something that seems more suited. I come from like I started gaming in the 80s, so I dealt with the whole satanic panic and stuff like that and survived. And I felt like Lamentations of Flame Princess is basically, like a child from that era.
Oh,
And
Raji is
most,
like very open about that. Yeah,
yeah, and most OSR games tend to be like that too, and I appreciate that.
yeah. The referee book that Raji wrote, and again, like the thing is, Castles and Crusades is my go-to game because when if I'm playing D&D, I kind of like that default type D&D, I guess.
Right.
However, I get so like my grind. I have the Grindhouse box set of Lamentations, and that referee book in there.
Yeah.
I got so much value out of it as a game master. I got so much value, and I have so much respect for Lamentations of the Flame Princess as a publisher. Um, just what they're doing, like and everything, and it's just like Raji. And Raji, the thing is that honestly, he would be better served to pretend that he's fearless, that it doesn't bother him, because he's very open about all that. And I think that the people who go after him, like, if they know that if they know they've hurt someone, they're gonna double down on it.
Right.
So I think it would be better served to pretend to be like what they claim he is, or something like just like indifferent, or to whatever, or take And I know there's a glee from shocking people and all that, but I think I've had on my show principled people who suffered a lot because people can differentiate fiction from reality. I had
Right.
Raji, I had Grim Jim, who basically wrote an article in defense of and a very awful thing you can do to people that you should never do ever. And movies like Deliverance, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and he
Exactly.
wrote in the context of fiction, right? And that's like, I don't know, more than 10 years ago, and people are still going after him for that. So it's like, again, Tarantino movie, super Pulp Fiction is super mainstream. That's like, so no one is going after
Yeah.
Tarantino that way. But I think it's kind of like people don't want. There's a section of people out there who don't want role playing games to be an art form, I think.
I hate to say it feels like very sanitized, but that's the way I feel like most modern role playing systems, whether it's D&D or whatever, it's just it feels like everybody wants to play it safe, and they're like, oh, let's not offend anyone, and it it stopped being something about like creating stories.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, depending on it doesn't matter who is playing. You can enjoy whatever you like. If you like fifth
Yeah.
edition, do
But
it.
that's the
Have
problem.
fun.
They don't just enjoy their stuff and let other people enjoy theirs. They go after people.
That is the problem. And I don't want to swear, but I'm like, I hate cancel culture. I think
Yeah.
it's lame, and I'm Gen X anyways. I'm just like, whatever. I don't care.
I don't know which generation I'm in. I don't follow the generations. I think we have the same kind of like similar reference points culturally. Um, so we're not that far apart, at least culturally
Right.
speaking. I don't know in years, but culturally speaking, I think we have similar reference points.
Yeah, I'm ancient, so
Yeah, so am I. So am I. Uh, it's one of those things. But I think the thing, and I've said this before, I think the thing about role playing games is that of course, it's attractive to people who are not. I'm just gonna say it. It's attractive to people who might have like social anxieties or might be different or stuff like that, because it allows them to either be in a world where they're different or to fit in with other weirdos like them and stuff like that. And I don't say this disparagingly. Yeah, I can't speak tonight. However, the issue is that at some point, when you have a lot of people who are similar, just hanging out with people who are like not different from them, and I mean in those, when I mean not different from them, I mean in those specific contexts of like
like
everyone wants it to be safe, so but like at some point you don't interact with the real world as much, because now you have this like echo chamber, right?
that's exactly what I was thinking was an echo chamber.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you stop having any sort of coping mechanisms, you know and then when anyone makes you feel uncomfortable, that's when you go like they're evil because they made me feel like look, there's stuff that makes me feel uncomfortable all the time, but it does
Yeah.
like it doesn't mean that I get to lash out,
It's you don't like something, don't buy it, don't eat it,
Mm.
move on.
Look, I'm a fan of mixed martial arts. Like the stuff that some of these athletes say is completely outrageous. And I have a choice at some point. I'm like, okay, well, I'm watching the sport, so like I'm not asking for it to be sanitized. If at some point I find it's too much, I'll just walk away from it. Like, but I can't
Yeah.
like be like, this is the context in which I've arrived. This is the environment. Like, and I might have my own opinions. I might not agree with everything, but I can't expect the whole product to change, right?
Nor should you.
No. I mean, some of the stuff, in my personal opinion, is outrageous and should be said, but maybe it's not a perfect example, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason why I kind of prefer, the older editions. And like a lot of my players are from the old school, playing first and second edition.
Yeah.
Recently, about a year and a half ago, I introduced a whole bunch of new players from the goth and metal scene. So,
But there you go. That's
yeah. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And actually, the women outnumbered the guys in our group. So I was like, all right, well, being progressive at the same time. But I just
that was kind of my point, by the way, that you can
Yeah.
very well be progressive without being like safety net is my middle name. Like
you can be progressive without like shoving it in people's faces. Like, oh look,
well,
see,
that's
look.
something that, trust me, because of the whole martial arts side of my I like to joke I'm half geek, half jock. So
Nice.
that's certainly something that at some point you have to kind of let go of if you want to live in society, or So, but so yeah, I think, and the thing is, if you look at goth culture, metal culture, like these are not like easily offended people.
Right. Well,
Oh,
I
really?
would say the goth culture is a little bit more offended. It seems like.
Oh, right, because it kind of became,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking of the goths of the
Yeah.
90s and the early
Oh
2000s.
no.
No, that changed, right?
Yeah,
What
it's
happened?
kind of changed. I don't know. I mean, I'm still kind of like, why are people like this? They didn't used to
Whiplash.
be like this, yeah. But the metal scene's just that's my other half. I just feel it's always been, they kind of stayed the same, and it's still kind of like the punk rock attitude is like, oh, fuck off, and I'm gonna do what I want, and I'm all here for it. I mean, obviously within reason, you don't want to cross anybody else's boundaries, but if it's for you, then no one else should dictate what you should enjoy.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, when you're listening to like some metal track and you don't understand the lyrics, but then you look at them, and I'm joking, uh, like obviously they might say some awful stuff, but they don't mean it. It's just a
No.
cathartic release of aggression or of whatever feelings they have, or and it's at this point I guess it's culturally more understood in stuff like gangster rap, although some of them do mean it when they sing it, but not all of them.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Some of them you go back to their childhood, like, oh, there he is in middle school in school uniform, and from a family of means.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I don't know. At some point, it's like the I think that um, pop cultural literacy. I don't know what to call it, but the understanding that something is meant to be fiction or not really. Like when I was a kid, if a teacher was like, "Do you really believe what these people are singing?" and we would mock that because, like, no, it's a song. Yeah,
It's. I would get that from the churchgoers all the time because they would come in because
right. You're
I've
American.
6 years at Catholic school.
Oh.
I did get kicked out because I questioned too much.
Okay.
Also, I had long hair, and you can't have long hair. And I'm like, why? I'm like, Jesus had long hair. Oh no, you can't ask that.
Oh snap!
Yeah, so I got kicked out, but the church, or like they would send people in to the house. My mom would know, and it's just like, well, we're worried about your son because he's going into like this really dark place, and they see like all my AD&D books, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to put those away. And he's like, oh, we got to talk about Satan, and I'm like, Or are we going to talk about Satan? Oh no. These are for all the demons. They're all for the players to fight. They're
Yeah,
all good Christian or pagan heroes. So,
yeah.
mm,
It's so
but
funny to me, like hearing from Americans from the '80s, like those stories seem so outlandish, but it's just like,
we survived it.
yeah.
I mean, we were running anyways. But I'm just surprised that RPG and games in general just survived that whole like censorship.
And
You
now
got like
it's from the inside. It survived the moral panics of the outside to create their own
yeah.
demons from the inside.
I feel like a lot of people nowadays are just kind of bored and they don't have anything to cling on to, and so they fight for like whatever they think
You
is
know, the thing is that the role playing game hobby was ripe for a takeover. It wasn't big enough. Like, yeah, I said it. So it was. Saw your face there. It wasn't big enough to be really immune to influence from a massive influx of new players. Like other places, for example, like I'm going to be annoying and take MMA again as an example. Um, if someone came and like, oh my god, I can't believe that this fighter said that, like a fighter named Sean Strickland, who was middleweight champion a while back, said, and who knows if he's joking, if he's serious, who knows? The guy's a weird guy, gets punched in the head for a living, and he's like, everything went downhill when they gave women the right to vote, and it's
wow.
like, well, obviously I don't agree with that, and even as a joke, I find that's kind of like an awful thing to say, but
Yeah,
can you imagine someone like showing up and like in some message board or on social media? I can't believe he said that. He'd be laughed out, even by people who don't agree with that. Just because, dude, this
yeah.
is MMA. This is look, this it is how it is what it is. Like just and well, okay, look, Superman. Okay,
Okay,
that's an established brand. Everyone around the world loves Superman. So no one's gonna show up and be like, you know what? I think Superman, the fact that a Kryptonian is stronger than a human being under a yellow sun, I think that's kind of racist because it's eugenics, and like he's gonna be left out of the room because there's enough established fan base to protect the brand. And I do realize that it sounds an awful lot like gatekeeping what I'm saying, but it's not really my point. I swear. but with with tabletop role playing games, it was just ripe for a takeover from people who had nothing better to do and wanted to feel self important, right?
it's happened with everything from most pop culture stuff. Just the same way. Look at anything from Star Wars or comic books, or you know what I mean. Everything
Yeah.
in the past, it's just like you said. It was like Kylo Ren who said, like, forget the past, kill it
Let
if
it
we
die.
have to.
Let it go. They
It's
meant
like
it.
if if it wasn't for the past, if it wasn't for these things, you wouldn't have it in the first place. And trying to find fault in the smallest of things, I think that's just petty.
It is because the thing is that, for example, H.P. Lovecraft, okay, had
Hmm.
hateful, horrible opinions about people, and he was anti-Semitic and all that. And then people were complaining because I think it was in his hometown, there was a bust of him. But you have
Right,
to understand, first of all, the guy's not alive, okay? Like, if you're buying an H.P. Lovecraft book, yeah, he said some racist stuff about black people and Jewish people and all that, but it's not like you're giving him money. He's dead already. Second, you have to be able to read shit in the context of its time. And even back then, what he said was not okay, even for the time. And well, I mean, it was never okay, but I mean, even for people of the time, I'm sure a lot of people would find it too much. But you need to understand you're reading something from the past. You're not reading
right.
something from the present, which I think streaming services have kind of confused people's brains about that. And because you can pull up a sitcom from the '80s and be like, oh, that's kind of like harassment there, what the main character is doing, in the bar. Anyway, and they say, yeah, well, people were not as educated about respect back then, and a man was supposed to be assertive. So this is what. So you have to understand, like, literacy of the time in which you're reading it, and you don't need to approve, you don't need to agree with it, but you need to understand what era in which you're reading and who wrote it.
Exactly.
And then the bust is not there to celebrate H.P. Lovecraft's anti-Semitism. It's there to celebrate his freaking writing.
Right.
So,
Which people enjoy. Like,
yeah.
and I don't know. I don't know why people have to I want to say shit on like the past. Like someone creates something, they're like, well, I like this, but I'm going to take it. It's now mine, and it's not
Which
your
is such a
creation anymore.
touchy subject to approach, because I really want to make it clear. I welcome people from all backgrounds to discover something and
Oh
and,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
enjoying it and celebrate it. But the problem is that, for example, Superman World War II, during the comics, like there's a cover where Superman's like slap a Japanese person. They use another slang, but I'm not gonna say it. But
Yes,
because it was
please.
World War II, right? And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
America did horrible things to Japanese Americans back then too, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
which everyone knows. But no one goes back and looks at the comic and says, "Oh, Superman is founded in racism." No, they understand Superman is an ideal, but it was at the time that this comic was done,
Right.
people hadn't caught up with some important nuances that you might be at war with this country. Doesn't mean you have to dehumanize everyone coming from this country, because it was a
Exactly.
different time. But in role playing games, people grab an old D&D book and maybe they go, the description of this monster seems problematic because there's like keywords that end up sounding like. And the thing is, like, if I read the description, if I was an editor, would be like, "What the fuck are you writing? Don't write this." But I'm understanding it's a bunch of white nerds in the '70s in rural America would
Right.
probably know it just didn't cross their mind. Like it when they're writing an orc or whatever, and it's just like there's a middle ground and nuance where you understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not. It should not be written this way, but people just didn't think of that. It's not meant to
Yeah.
be this other thing, and I'm not even gonna bring it up. But it's just literacy of again. Sorry, I'm.
Okay. No, no, no. I mean, all right. So first edition, we had the book called Oriental Adventures, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with it. And I'm just gonna say, like, I'm half Asian. My mom's not even from this country, so Japanese Filipino, and then my dad's on the white side. But we've actually
Oh,
had
so
this
your
conversation.
mom is Japanese. I mean,
Yeah,
that has. Okay, I'm actually not gonna ask what I was thinking. Yeah. Okay.
but I talked to my other gamer friends and
Yeah.
who are also Asian. So I'm like, so what are your ideas? What do you feel about like the book called Oriental Adventures? I don't care. It doesn't offend me. Um, I think one of my friends says like he had a problem with the word Oriental, and I'm like, yeah, I mean they could have used something else, but it's not like calling a person Oriental. I think they were talking about like the location.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not personally offended by it. I mean, if other people don't like it, that's fine. I think the book was lacking in a lot of things, but I liked I guess the aesthetics. I mean, I played a ninja, so that was like one of my favorite classes when
I,
that book came out.
I found a way to ask my question, by the way. So
Okay.
your mother's Filipino American. Is there Japanese culture still in your family,
Uh
or just Filipino?
I would say just Filipino.
Okay.
Well, for the most part, it is.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's way different
No, I know that.
comparatively. Yeah,
Yeah. That's why I was kind of asking it for your reference points. I guess I should say.
yeah.
Eh,
Obviously,
yeah.
like being sent to Catholic school because in the Philippines, obviously
Oh my
Catholicism
god! It's
is
yeah.
located there. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to me that um, and I'm half Spanish, so haha. It's kind of funny to me that like all these countries that got like really like messed up by Europeans, um,
Yeah.
and can openly be like, oh, Europeans really screwed us over. They were like mean and evil and all that, but they still keep that religion. It's interesting to me. I don't know what to make of
Yeah.
it, but I find there's something there to be like, I don't know. There's something there to be like investigated. I don't think anyone will, but I find it interesting that even the cultures like there's places in Latin America. If you say you're a Spaniard, at least back in the day, I don't know anymore, but you might get punched in the face just for being Spanish. Like,
Right.
but they're still gonna keep. They're very religious. The religion that the Spaniards imposed on them. So it's kind of like I'm not sure what to make of that. I don't have anything to add on that. It's just a question, I guess. But but sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I think Oriental Adventures, what needs to be understood is, I'm sure a lot of stuff was done wrong, but there's 2 points where I'll defend it. Well, 3 if I want to be anal. Apparently in Hong Kong, I don't know if this is true. I read that in Hong Kong people use the word Oriental because of the British influence, and it doesn't bother them. I don't know if that's true actually. So please, anyone in the comments, feel free to tell me I'm wrong. But one thing is, first of all, to be understood, I think, about the product is the fact that it mixes Japanese, Chinese, and other Asian cultures in one book. To be fair, and this is a point that's being missed a lot, it did the same with European mythology.
Right.
That's D&D. You just grab everything, you put it together. So, and now ninjas are in the sort of medieval settings in D&D, and so it's kind of like, I don't think that's a thing to be held against it. It's not. I don't think it's not out of ignorance. The people making the book, it's not like they thought a ninja came from China. I think they just wanted all of the cool Asian movies in one place.
Oh,
the same way you want the Vikings along with the whatever other stuff from your European
Arthurian knights. Celts.
Yeah. Thor with Merlin, like so that aspect, I would say, like, come on, they didn't say it was China and Japan. They just grabbed influences. The second was a product made out of admiration, right? As much as they might have missed the mark on many points, if you look at, like, I mean, I know Japan is doing their version of medieval fantasy, of European medieval fantasy, so it's kind of like funny to. It goes back and forth, right? You throw the ball around,
right? And they're not offended, I mean, I know there's this big thing going on with the Assassin's Creed thing.
Are the Japanese offended by that?
Oh yeah,
because they are.
Yeah, because it's their.
But wasn't he an actual person? The Black Samurai.
Yeah, well, supposedly he's not even a samurai. They think he's just a retainer. There's not that much information.
But he did receive. I read that he received money or whatever you call it, and I saw Shogun not long ago, and I already forgot the term. But so that would make him samurai.
Well, no, he was not allowed to wear armor or go to war, and that's basically what a samurai is.
That's a big part of being a samurai, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was still considered kind of like a feudal lord almost, right? I mean, he was a bodyguard to Obunaga, but
so he was like samurai and all but name, just because of some like bureaucracy, basically.
Yeah, but I think
no, I don't know.
There's very little information about it, but
I have no bone. I have no bone in this game.
I mean, I just find it interesting. They're like, oh well, Japanese people aren't offended by all this stuff, and I'm like, well, actually, they are about certain things. I don't think people were offended by the Oriental Adventures book. I mean, besides the name.
I mean, were they even aware of it?
Probably
in America, Asian Americans.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant Japanese people.
I mean, I think my biggest complaint is, including my other friends who are Asian, is that there's not enough. Where's like the mythos from Korea? Where's the mythos from Vietnam? Oh my God, that just so much.
See, you can have it both ways, because one problem is you're mixing these cultures. They're not the same one, and I was like, but where's the other stuff?
Well, no, you make more books.
Well, that's what Troll Lore Games is doing with their codex. They have codex for different mythologies. So you have Celtic, you have the Vikings. The help me out.
The Norse.
Yeah, Codex. Solarium. That will be Celtic. Codex. They have one for Vikings. You like Vikings, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I see the runes on your jacket, and you mentioned Barbarian being your favorite, one of your favorite classes.
Yeah, I have a Viking rune tattoo.
There you go. So
and the Japanese one.
Yeah, so they're gonna do some like Asian mythology stuff, and each book is gonna be a different. They actually grab the mythology historically from each country, and so I haven't picked up those
Wow.
books yet. But yeah, so look, it's I think they're doing China first, and then they're gonna. I think Korea is gonna be one of them.
It's gonna
Actually,
be like Pokemon. You got to collect them all.
yeah, I haven't gotten started, but my wallet couldn't take it right now. If I get started in the codexes, because I think Troll Lord Games does some really cool stuff. Like it's kind of like
Oh,
what if third edition had been more. What if AD&D in third edition had a baby? That's Troll Lord. That's Castles and Crusades. And by the way, Gygax, that's the last company he worked with before passing.
right.
So the torch for me, the real current edition of D&D is Castles and Crusades. It's not D&D fifth edition in my eyes. Like and then I admire what Raji's doing, shaking up the industry like that, being like, "Wake up, just sleepwalking." Like,
I love his videos too.
oh my god, running naked in the snow.
He's a brave man.
He is. He is. I just wish that he didn't. Okay, this is gonna sound messed up because I'm always a proponent for men actually being able to express their feelings and all that. But in his specific context for what he's doing and the way people attack him, I just wish that he pretended to be more callous about it for his own good. Because I think every video that he admits these things, of course, there's going to be people like me who are going to feel empathy for him, but there's going to be like those who are like, yeah, tell me more how much you're suffering, James. Like, like
Collecting all the tears. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's too late now. The cat's out of the bag, right? But
Yeah. Well, you know what? Those people are always going to exist.
yeah.
And unfortunately, I think it's just ignore them. I mean,
Yes.
they'll always be there.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you look at it, people who ignore that stuff, it kind of goes away. And those who interact with it, well, I mean, we all seen what happened with Zach Smith, right? He interacted with it thoroughly, and
Yeah. And I have a lot to say
go
about
ahead,
that.
say whatever you're
Too.
thinking. I'm interested.
Oh, well, I just once again, this is cancel culture. It's like going against people and pulling out your torches because you heard a rumor or whatever it is. It's just like, well, I'm just going to believe this other person without actual proof, and we're going to just raise the whole village. You're guilty. You're and
something went wrong after. Like, I mean, because it's kind of like all the principle, and there's something about, and I'm gonna admit, I just said never admit your weaknesses, and I'm gonna admit something. If some like conservative religious person was offended by me, I'd be laughing. I'd be like, whatever. If someone calls me like a bigot, it's kind of like the same thing. Someone accusing you of something, it would,
Yeah.
I would be like, because it's that's my belief now. Now you're kind of messing
Right.
with my belief, and I think something that a lot of the younger, I'm gonna say progressives, I don't know what else to call it. What the younger progressives don't understand about maybe people in the 80s and 90s, where it's kind of like, no, maybe we argue more with the younger progressives than with the conservatives, because the conservatives to us are kind of like this lost cause, or they're the ones who are not agreeing anyway. Whereas
Right.
the youth were like, what are you doing with what we did? What are you doing with like every time I had a fight to defend a minority on the street at 3 a.m. in the morning, or like, went out drinking and saw something that wasn't okay, or like, what are you doing with it? Like, and we actually argued with people face to face. We defended people, like, and now you're like typing away in your computer and you think you're a hero. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost cowardly,
No, not
and like,
almost. It is 100. It
yeah,
is getting that feeling of having done something good and being heroic and being a good person without actually putting yourself in any sort of actual danger doing it. Not only
right.
that, putting people in danger who don't deserve it. It's like, look, I'm gonna put it this way. Like, it's something people need to understand. That sounds so condescending. Um, a conservative MAGA middle-aged man who's like struggling to find a job to support his family has more in common with a blue-haired trans youth trying to pay their studies than with any of the politicians that are each like um, constantly posting about. They
It's
have more
it's
in common. It's they don't know it, they don't believe it, but they fucking do.
it's not a race battle, it's a class battle, you
Yeah,
know.
well, cultural, and I understand that. And the thing as well is like we're a democracy for a reason. Well, I mean, Canada, you're in the U.S. We're democracies, and democracies exist as well, so we don't have to have these wars. Like, in my opinion, it's like,
Yeah.
look, we can argue it, we can debate it, and then we'll vote on it. And it's easier said than done because I understand that some laws, especially in the U.S., man, you guys are fucked all the time. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like both your progressive and conservative sides do things that don't make sense to me.
It's weird. I find myself in the middle. I'm like, wait, how am I in the middle
I feel the
of all
same way.
this?
I feel
I'm
the same
like,
way because it's one of those things where I'm like, for example, me just saying, like, well, I mean, you do need, like, for example, and this is now like a shocking statement to someone,
yeah.
you do need police for society to function. I'm all for fixing issues and getting people kicked out of force if they're abusive, but you do
Oh,
need
absolutely.
them to function. Like if someone breaks into your house, you need someone to call. And just saying that, the, look, I'm half Spanish, right? So obviously my dad lived through Franco's Spain, like a fascism.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So he had me pretty late. And then my wife's family's from Cambodia, so the left can go very far as well in doing horrible shit. So I try to be a centrist, which is I know it sounds crazy, but I'm a progressive, but I try to be a centrist because I understand how when you go too far in either direction, you're gonna like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have like my ideal things that, you know, people on both sides may not like. You know, like one side would be like, oh, well, how can you stand up for that? I'm like, well, within reason. And like, you know, for example, on the right, you're like, what, you support a woman's right to their body? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, how is this even a thing? Why can't they do? That's their own body. I don't get it.
Well, here's the thing. I really try. I follow a lot of conservative people online, and all that, because I do try to understand humanity, and I do want to know what is
Right.
happening. One thing that pisses me off is sometimes I'll see an argument that's technically my side, but the argument is so bad, I kind of want to debate it, not because I disagree with the message at the end, but the way you got to it is super bad.
Yeah.
And then and no one understands each other. So the problem is like, if we want to take abortion, for example, you know,
Right.
I do think the people in power, most of them, is a form of control. But for the people voting for that, I really think they believe they're saving babies. It's not to control women. Because a lot of conservative women are against abortion. But the thing is that then my problem becomes like you should have at least put some stuff in place where if a woman's gonna die if she doesn't get it, don't make it difficult for her to get it. Like at least like so this is where I have
Yeah.
an issue where I'm kind of like I can meet you in the middle where I can see where you're coming from, but at least kind of like have the decency to have certain at least like consider certain things
Right.
like and I cannot respect you if you don't. Like I can respect if you true like look, we all have different beliefs and it's kind of hard to we have to kind of like coexist. And
Yeah.
if you truly believe that's a baby from the start, no sentience yet, no, but to you that's a baby. Like of course if you see the world that way, I can understand you're against it. I don't see it that way, but if I did, I would be on your side, so I get that. But you have to put things in place. Like a woman should like if a woman dies and then the fetus dies as well, what's the point? Like put rules in place where people can, okay, to save a life, it's already, you don't have to beg the doctors every single time something like this happens. It's already um and then there's ridiculous aspects where like people go like Trump said that recently, like, oh, it should be allowed in case of I don't know if the YouTube algorithm is gonna get me for this. So RAPE, in case of that, should be allowed. But then I'm like, the reality is a controversial subject, but a lot of women
Mm.
who really don't want it might accuse the guy just to get it out because in that case, everyone's screwed. So I do think it should be legal. but at the same time, I do understand how like someone who's like, it doesn't matter, I have one every few months. Like, of course, that's also kind of like, what are you doing with your life, right?
Yeah. But that you know the whole point is like if it's your body, then you should have control of your own body.
Yes,
Like
I agree. I
and
agree. Just to make that clear. But what I mean is that when people
yeah,
debate that, they're talking past each other. They don't even
right,
understand.
right.
So that was my point. Sorry if I
Yeah,
made
yeah.
that unclear.
No, 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 no. And
Um,
and here's the thing: it's like debating is good because then when you debate or whether if you want to call it like controlled arguments, um, you get to at least maybe hear the other person's side and maybe come to an agreement or arrangement where you kind of get closer to the middle. At least you can step into somebody else's shoes and see what they're doing, what they're dealing with, what their vision, and
mhm.
you might actually have a little bit more of an idea of what what you're viewing as. So I think debates are good, but I just think people are just they are so stuck on whatever side they are.
Yeah.
They don't want to bend, and
No.
I think that's a problem.
Which
And
is
I feel
also
like
sometimes you have to. Yeah. Also, when I go online, like I catch myself not debating people anymore. Um, Especially, it's just like it's so easy also to get taken out of context and like,
oh, absolutely.
and so I'm not. I don't touch it. But it's true. People don't really. Most people are not open to changing their minds, or they don't even want to see where the other person is coming from, which is just my personal bar. It's just I just want to understand why this is the opinion. That doesn't mean I'm agreeing with it, and if anything, it makes me more able to debate someone, because if I don't even understand why they believe that or what they're actually saying, and I'm debating against something that's not really what they're saying, then we're talking past each other anyway, which we
Right.
will be anyway 99% of the time, but at least you make an attempt to understand, right? It's kind of my point. Well, like, and it's just like, if you think that everyone who's against abortion is just a piece of shit, and they're like, they just hate women and they want to control women, if you think that everyone who is against abortion is that person, then you're not right. You're not correct. It's not that. It's just that from their point of view, maybe this is religion based. Most of the time, it is. So if you
I
believe in a
mean,
soul, that kind of makes sense, because if me, I don't believe in God, so I believe in a sense. So like, okay, the sentience starts here. So for me, if as a man, I like a man empties himself outside or inside, like, there's
yeah.
no more sentience there at this point in time, but there could be. But at the same time, if you shut it out, then there's not gonna be. Okay, I'm sorry, this is a very crass example, but it's kind of like, okay, where does the sentience start? This is my starting point. But for someone who believes in a soul, then it's supposed to be there from the start, right?
Presumably.
Presumably. But if anyone arguing approaches from that angle, and then if there's no middle grounds, for example, like, let's say you do want to tell a conservative, hey, how about we put certain measures in place. Let's say, like, because in the States you guys are screwed because the whole Senate, I think, is mostly conservative, right? Or whatever.
I believe so at the moment.
Yeah. So one thing, I was listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was pretty good at, because the thing is, like, a lot of the laws that stick are the ones that are bipartisan, which is more and more rare in the States, right? And Schwarzenegger would kind of like explain how, when he was governor, he would approach. He was a Republican, but he's actually a centrist, and he would kind of like approach each side from the point that they could understand and appreciate. So if he's talking about like the environment, he's not going to talk about global warming to the Republicans, but everyone believes in, for example, not polluting the waters, right? So that was kind of like his approach, and I
Right,
think,
right.
and if you want kind of some kind of progress, you kind of have to approach people like that. You can't be like, "This is my side, get on it," and we're
Not even going to explain yourself. No, no. I actually get Arnold was actually I believe was a good governor in California.
I haven't looked into it enough, but from what I've seen, I think he was really competent. And he was a
And
Republican, right? So,
yeah,
which I'm not even sure what he was actually.
no, he was a Republican.
But
I
why?
don't even.
Was
Well,
he?
I mean, he married into the Kennedys,
Yeah, which is
so
even more weird.
So I don't know.
I
But
think he
I
was
mean,
the one legit case of. I mean, there's other cases, but maybe he was the one true honest case of like, um, what is it? Socially progressive, but financially conservative. Like, is that the?
yeah.
I don't
Um,
understand why he was a Republican.
I think that was his values, at least Republicans of back then, as opposed to what Republicans are now. It seems a lot different.
I'm trying to remember because they were against gay marriage. They were back then. They were like now
I
it's
mean, always
yeah,
against abortion.
yeah. Like I'm trying to see what it was about Republicans, other than maybe the vibe of like, oh, we're the
It was the guns. You know, Arnold loves guns. So,
oh, he does. Okay.
well, he does in the movies.
Yeah,
I know
but
he likes,
Stallone, for
he likes,
example, look at Stallone. Stallone is like super anti-gun in real life, which is
oh, yeah.
funny. But I don't know about Arnold. I mean, he no, he owns the tank, right? I'm pretty sure it's
He
not
owns
ready
a
to shoot.
tank. Yeah. I actually tried to enter that contest too.
You did?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I failed, but, you know, I didn't get it. But I just wanted to meet Arnold and be in a tank. Just sounds like a dream.
Oh my god, that would be so cool! Like in a tank with Arnold, that's it,
Yeah.
right?
Just,
From
come
there,
on, you can move the forward. No, you're moving the cannon wrong.
isn't it funny how we can make fun of his accent because he's white? So it's like, okay, it's cool, we can do
Yeah,
that.
it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I
No,
guess
he's
technically
great
you could
anyways.
do Asian accents, you're okay, but I can't. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
um,
I'm just thinking about like some of these movies that, you know, had people, white people playing Asian people. And it's just like, okay. Well, it was a different time, but
it's much better in Kickboxer where you had Weston Paul, an Arab actor. I'm sorry if he wasn't playing
for which one?
playing a Thai person.
For which one?
Kickboxer with Van Damme.
Oh, wow.
So the guy
Yes.
playing Tong Po,
Yeah.
they gave him like Asian prosthetics makeup, but he wasn't white though. He was something else. He was well, I mean, anyway, I'm not gonna look it up now, but I think
Yeah.
well, I don't remember. He's not white, but he's not Asian either. But they kind of like give him.
Yeah. I mean, and Conan, the Barbarian, was the Subutai was played by a
A
surfer.
Hawaiian though, so.
Yeah. And who, you know,
But was
I
he?
mean,
He
it's
wasn't fully white, was he?
no. I
No,
mean,
no.
but
Yeah,
he wasn't, I don't think he was Asian though, or unless he was half Asian.
or
I
maybe
don't
he
believe.
was. Yeah, maybe he was like of native descent from whatever island.
I just love that he was a surfer and that was Subutai.
Yeah, the surfer friend of the director.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't bring him back for a sequel though.
Oh, that pissed me off. Oh my God. I loved him. He was my second favorite character besides Conan.
Why? What did he do that you liked?
Oh, no. It's just the camaraderie between Conan and Subutai. It was just on. I mean, they were, you know, it's kind of like, you know, what was it? The story? It was an Adidas and Demigods book, first edition. And I Fafard and the Grey Mouser. Do
Yeah,
you remember that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you
Yeah. I
had like,
mean, the thing is, I never read the books. I have some of them, but I'm waiting to find the first one to start reading. Yeah.
but no, it was just that, you know, having two distinct different types of characters, but they're all working together, and it's just like the bond that they have. You know, like Arnold was a slave, and basically Subutai was a slave too, and Arnold freed him, and it was just like, wow, this is just these
Oh
two
yeah, they left
dudes.
him to die or something, or he was a
Yeah,
prisoner.
yeah, from The Witch, Dinner for Wolves.
Or right. Oh my god. Okay. So I don't remember where he freed him from. Yeah, that I remember in the second movie when he frees Grace Jones, and he starts
Ah,
fucking shit out. That was so cool.
man, and I was telling my friend this. I'm like, they could easily do another Conan film. I mean, obviously, we all want a third Conan with Arnold, but like these characters that you had, I mean, Subutai was great. Grace Jones, Zula. I mean, Zula. she fucked shit up. Like, I think one of the stuntmen got hurt.
Zula was which one?
That was Grace Jones.
Oh, Zula was. Oh my god.
Yeah, I
Right.
think she broke some guy, one of the stuntmen's nose or chin with a quarterstaff. I'm like, that's badass.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's funny how like they don't feel like the same universe. The first and the second movie feel like two completely different universes.
Well, in Red Sonja, it was supposed to be a third Conan film, but then I guess they didn't have the rights to it, and so they
Yeah.
were like, oh, we're changing Conan to Calidor, which is basically Conan because Conan used to go masquerading as a different character, so people didn't know it was him. So I always felt that it was like a uh, a Conan sequel or soft
Yeah.
sequel, as it were.
I think okay. Please. I'm going by memory. I think in Spain the movie was called Calidor.
Oh, really?
I okay. Okay, I gotta look it up. Give me a second.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Red Sonia title in Spain. Oh, movie. I should put movie title. Uh, okay. I'm not finding anything. Well, this is interesting though. I don't know if this is Latin America or Spain, but one of the titles is El Guerrero Rojo, which is the Red Warrior, but warrior in masculine. And like
Hmm.
Arnold's face is like bigger in the poster than oh my
Brigitte
god, what's the name
Nielsen.
of Red Sonia?
It's Brigitte Nielsen.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
I
who
think,
I
or maybe in French because I'm French Canadian also. So maybe it was Prince Calida. Maybe it was like in the French Canadian version, or maybe I'm just getting a completely misremembering. But I feel like there's
I'm
a
not,
either in Spain or in French Canada or maybe even France. It was. Let me see if I check Prince Calidor just for the heck of it. Film.
I believe it was a K. I'm
Yeah,
not certain.
I think yeah. It seems yeah. Lord Calidor. Yeah, yeah, with a K. Of course, it's with a K. It's it's medieval fantasy. It's always with a K. So, Calidor, La Légende du Talisman. Yes. Oh my God. Okay. So in French, the name of the movie, or at least one of the French translations, is Calidor, La Légende du Talisman. So Calidor, the Legend of the Talisman. Red Sonja is completely kicked out of the name of her
Wow,
movie.
that's so sad. I mean, I know they're doing it for marketing reasons because Arnold has a big name, but still, that's the main character. It's Red Sonja. What the hell?
It's like you remember in the '90s these like VHS tapes with like Jackie Chan on the cover, and he was like in the movie for like 5 minutes,
5 minutes, yeah.
like that prison movie. And then at the end they put the bloopers and just the scene with him,
Anything to sell a buck, I swear.
or they would grab like an old movie that was a completely different stuff from when he was young, and they would put like a more modern photo of him in his current age, but then you put on the movie and he's like 20 years old, and he's not doing like as much the stuff that he would do later in his movies. He's doing like the
Right.
classic kung fu stuff, right? And you're like, this is not what I expected.
Oh, the video store boom was crazy. Just from horror films, you know,
Oh, right.
back in the 80s and the early 90s was fantastic. I actually, when I moved up here to LA from San Diego back in 2000, I was working at a place called Odyssey Video. And, we had a lot of stars coming in there, which is interesting. But that was during the DVD boom. And,
Mm.
direct to DVD. And
Right now it's
there's a
streaming.
yeah, but it's different back then because it was just like right when you had like direct to video, it was like, ooh, what is this? You're looking at the box and the
Yeah,
artwork. This looks cool, and then you get to direct video, and it's just really bad Photoshop. And you look at the wall, and they're all similar, like giant floating heads. I'm like, what is this? I don't want to watch this now.
I think horror movies really suffered in the early CGI era
Oh
because
yeah.
the thing about horror movies before that, even the low budget ones, there was a texture to it, right? Like because everything was
Mm,
practical, so even if it didn't look like a human head, when it exploded, you could still like there's texture to it. You know, like
right.
it's something exploding at least.
It's just substantial.
Yeah, yeah, something exploded. Kind of looked like a human head, and it exploded, and you can tell. But then the early CGI was like, and it didn't like it looked like a cartoon. You know, like and I was like, well, that's not even doesn't like it's not that it doesn't look like a head. It doesn't even look real anymore. You know,
Yeah, it just pulls you out.
like if I think of the movie Brain Dead or whatever name,
Oh wow. Yeah.
yeah, like wait, yeah, Bad Taste, and then Brain Dead. Brain Dead had another title, I think, the original version in New Zealand.
Oh man. I yeah.
Because this is
I the
like a
Peter
force.
Jackson.
Yeah,
Yeah. I can't remember it either.
because I knew it as Brain Dead, but apparently, okay, well, let me look it up.
Someone's gonna find it. They'll be
Yeah,
like,
well,
you.
I'm gonna look it up. It's gonna bug me otherwise. We cannot move on in the conversation. I mean, we have to wrap it up soon, I think, because we're
Oh
over an
yeah.
hour. But Brain Dead original title Dead Alive. Okay, so the
Dead
original title is
Alive.
Dead Alive,
Ah, yeah,
right?
that's right. I'm an idiot. I, I have that in my DVD wall right over here. I'm like, why can't I remember the name?
So those movies, it didn't look real. None of it looked real. Like the zombie baby and Dead Alive slash Brain Dead didn't look real, but it was so funny that thing.
Well, I mean, it is definitely funny, but I actually think that practical effects actually kind of brings you into the universe, whatever it is. You
Yeah,
know, like it's something substantial, something you can feel, even if it's not real. You're like going, oh, this blood. Well, I know it's chocolate syrup, but you're actually touching it. You're like, well, it's still you can still think of the viscosity, the stickiness, or
yeah.
whatever. But when you see like bad CGI, it's like it's not there. When you got like when you're filming something and it's just the actor and the rest of it's blue screen, just like it kind of takes you out of it.
Yeah, the thing is that now I'm not gonna be like this snob about it. If people have the budget, CGI looks as amazing as anything these days. So I don't know. Like, look, I'm not a snob. I can recognize it. Um, However, the problem is, I mean, no, it's not a problem. Like, people get to make their movies for a lot cheaper using CGI because the practical effects are now more costly than CGI, but it's cheap CGI, and it's kind of like I almost feel like I wish more movie makers were like, look, we're gonna tighten up the bill to make it practical because we don't have the money for good CGI, so why do it that way? But I do understand that
Yeah,
at some point someone has to make their movie, right? But yeah, early 2000s was like a it took the
it,
charm out of the cheap horror movies for sure.
it was rough. And I had a discussion with other friends too, and the best thing to do if you're going to do CGI, it's to interject it with the actual practical effects. I mean, look at things like Jurassic Park. It's the original Jurassic Park.
It's so
It's
well.
such a classic. I mean, it you can't even tell that it's from the '90s. I mean, besides like the actors, the effects are so good.
And I'm gonna say something that might hurt you now, but you know who we have to thank for that?
Oh no.
Here it comes. Here comes the K
I
from
knew you're in it. I knew you're going to say it.
Kathleen Kennedy.
I knew that was happening.
I'm sorry.
I'm too sober for this.
I'm sorry. And I'm so tired. I think this is hilarious. I think this is the best joke ever. I'm gonna later on. I'm gonna like be editing this. I'm gonna be. Oh, I mean, not editing the conversation. Don't worry. But I'm gonna be looking back at the video. I'm like, oh my god, this is not that funny, Bruno.
Oh, oh.
Yeah, I think what the problem. Yeah, so to bring it back to what we were talking about role playing games, how the new generations don't understand that. Okay, yeah, some stuff was not did not have the sensitivities of today, but it doesn't mean you dismiss it and you dismiss the people who did the work. And So I think in the same context, like, when I when I one of the guests I had very recently was Tracy Quinn Walker, who did one of the first novels in the new Disney canon for Star Wars. He wrote a story of the Crimson Corsair and the Last Clone
Oh
Trooper,
wow.
or something like that. I didn't read it, but Tracy was a lovely man, and I actually from the library I ordered some of the trade paperbacks. Like, they're gonna bring them to me so I can read some of his stuff. And he was telling how some of his friends were like couldn't get over the fact that the EU, the expanded universe from Star Wars, was getting like tossed aside. And to me, it's like the
Wiped.
expanded universe also has a lot of bad stuff happening to the characters later on. It's not like it's a happy ending after Return of the Jedi, like Chewbacca dies in the expanded universe, but
Right.
at least the characters didn't dishonor themselves. Like, Luke stayed a hero. Han didn't like go back to what he was doing when he was freaking 20 years old. Like,
Right.
Leia is the only one who got treated with respect in both canons, which
I mean, mostly yes.
I'm happy about
No.
that she got treated with respect in both canons, but I feel like it says something when she's the only one who got treated with respect.
You had one chance to get all three characters in a movie.
That's a one, and like, the thing is, you didn't need to dismiss the canon, because when the new movies happened, no one knew what the fuck happened in between. So you could have very well just said, like, we keep the expanded universe, and if you wanted to have Chewbacca for merchandising purposes, just find some bullshit explanation why he's back to life in a novel before the new movie and whatever. Like, they could
Yeah,
have kept
exactly.
the expanded universe, no problem. And you had Jaina, Solo. So if you wanted a female hero, go with Jaina, and people would have been like, she's the daughter of Han and Leia. Yeah, I buy that she's powerful and cool. And instead, like, who the heck is Rey? And I liked her in the first movie, but like, everyone's kind of like, after Force Awakens, everyone's like, that was fine, but now you gotta explain it. And then they went like,
Yeah, I walked out of the theater first time, and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm
Force
like,
Awakens or Last Jedi?
The Force Awakens. I was just like,
Okay.
I, I'm happy to see a Star Wars film,
Yeah.
but I'm conflicted. This is weird. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel.
Yeah. Force Awakens, I was like, okay, they played it super safe. I gotta wait for the next one. Yeah, because like, they just redid episode 4. They just redid
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
And I was like, okay, let's see the next one and then I'll decide. Because I was like, for now, I had nothing against the movie, but in my heart, I couldn't, like, that did not justify getting rid of the expanded universe for me. And then, and also, like, the stories that were coming out were the same beats I've already been through. Like, for example, Vader discovers that Luke is his son, like in a comic. I already read back then the Dark Horse comics that, and it's not the same story, but the
Yeah.
beat, I've already been through that beat. Like, so it doesn't mean it's without value. I'm a big fan of Batman, and how many times are we going to see Harvey Dent become Two Face? It's fine. We can do that, but
Yeah.
everyone talks about how often are we going to see the Waynes get shot, but that's a moment. Harvey Dent, every time he becomes Two Face, like, we go through that.
Yep.
So, and then the Last Jedi was a complete insult. And nothing against people who liked it, really. And I like the Knives Out movies. So the filmmaker, I'm not like going after the guy or anything.
I mean, I unfortunately feel that the new Star Wars for me is basically fan fiction, which is sad
Yes,
because
because George Lucas said this is Timothy Zahn wrote what happened after Return of the Jedi. So to me, that's more real than whatever Kathleen Kennedy tells me is what happens after. So
right,
George Lucas trumps whoever owns the copyright. I don't care. And like, I'm thinking of like the Luke in Expanded Universe married Mara Jade, had a kid, like, and kind of I feel like the Luke from the Expanded Universe learned the lessons to not do what the old Jedi did, whereas the
right,
one, even if I enjoyed Mandalorian up to a point, up
up to a
to
point.
last season, when Luke is like, "Oh, no attachments," and like, "Oh no, they're making him do that in this new canon." I don't like that. It's like he didn't learn anything from the mistakes of the past Jedi. It's like, okay, he's just doing the same shit they did. Like,
Yeah, it didn't make any sense for us to have that story. We're like repeating the same thing over again.
yeah, except and like, people like the fans of Disney canon like to find examples of shitty stories from the expanded universe to justify the reboot. But like, if you do something, like, of course, a shared universe is going to have bad stories in it. That's not the point. If you look at what the characters were doing, It's a lot better if you look at the expanded universe. They come out looking a lot shinier, even like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Um,
yeah,
I hate to like actually cut this, but I'm looking at my phone and I am at 6% at
no
the
worries.
moment.
We're 1 hour and a half in, so I think this is the
The,
breaking point. I was just about to say it
okay.
too. We're gonna like sink there.
Mm,
So yeah, well, listen. I mean, it's interesting to talk to. I don't know how to explain, like, a progressive from the previous era. I guess, like a fellow, like, I don't know how to,
I understand what you're trying to say. Yes.
like, someone like
Um,
back then. It was kind of like the thing that young people need to understand about, like, us longer in the tooth progressives, or whatever you want to call us. We made it a point to offend those who were trying to censor us. That was our weapon for progressiveness, was, in a way, was offensiveness, was creating horror movies, listening to music that said things that shouldn't be said, was creating art that was the whole, like, shield and sword of the progressive
I mean, rebelling against,
authority.
yeah, but I don't know why they're rebelling. It feels, I mean, maybe to me, it feels like they're rebelling against us. And I'm like, but we're on your side too. I don't get it.
Yeah, they do turn. It seems they're more vicious against the older progressive than the conservatives, even.
Unfortunately. I mean, not all, obviously, but
Okay, let's try to end on a positive note.
yeah.
Where we're like old
Yeah.
people yelling, old men and women, like old people yelling at clouds,
I'm
and
going to yelling at all the clouds.
all of the clouds, all of
That's my
them.
job nowadays.
Is it?
No, I just like
What
the
the heck is your
image.
name?
Damn
Okay,
you, cloud.
okay. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on my Instagram under Black Metal Dungeon Master. Also, I have a YouTube channel, which I've kind of abandoned for a little while, but which is under DJ Tenebrae. And I do have a book out, and actually, I'm going to hold it up right here.
There it
Maybe you can
is.
see it.
I
There
thought
it
I was gonna
is.
see it from the start.
Yeah.
The shiny surfaces, like.
Unfortunately, I got the one cover that's really shiny, but it's the one that's signed by the band Emperor, and
Oh.
They did the song "I Am the Black Wizard." So this
Um,
so it's all kind of relative. Actually, one of the other members is coming to town next month, and I'm going to have this book signed by him
nice.
too. But I have this released on Amazon right now, but I'm going to be pulling it because I'm actually thinking about doing a Kickstarter because I'm adding more pages, I'm adding more spells, and there's a lot more tables and a way to using tarot to create encounters.
Interesting.
So you can actually do it.
Dude,
Yes.
I keep watching the Jodorowsky tarot videos, because I speak Spanish,
Oh,
right?
oh yeah, yeah.
So that's a lot of fun. I don't believe in it, but I find it fun. Okay, well,
Yeah.
please send me the link. Quick time. Please send me the links so I can, like, put in the
Oh,
description
absolutely.
below.
Yes.
All of that good stuff. Uh, Tenebrae. Thank you for coming to the show. Sorry about my rant. When I get tired,
Oh
I
no, no, it's fine. I had
feel.
fun. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and like, uh, yeah, I guess it was just one of those things. I didn't intend for a conversation to go in that direction, but I guess that's where it went, and that's what it is. But
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either.
no, I hope you didn't feel like I trapped you into a subject matter or something. Or
No, it was just a
you're
surprise,
thinking
I
about it, you're like,
guess. No, I just thought I was going to be talking more about RPG and stuff like that. So
no.
we kind of went off roading. So
Yeah,
sometimes that happens.
I think as soon as we broached upon, like, metal aesthetics and the role playing industry, and then you
Right.
mentioned D&D Fifth Edition, I guess you think that was my trigger. You triggered me into my rant.
Uh,
See, like, no one's different in the end.
but
Okay, Tenrid, thank you for coming to the show. Everyone, thanks for
absolutely.
watching. Please leave comments of whatever you think,
Right.
like the opinionated and it's this, right?
Yep.
Yeah. See, so me
Or
when
at
I
least if you love me, but you don't
wait,
have to.
this is the devil, and this is what?
Yeah,
Okay.
I love you.
Oh, that's sign language. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We do this for photos. I don't know why, but
Awesome.
telephone. I don't know. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Take care.